Hello everybody, Jake here with Bearded Gear. Wanted to bring you another knife out of my collection to show you something I've actually really been enjoying lately. I trade a lot of knives, and recently I decided I was after the Protech Mordax collaboration with Ferrum Forge and Drop. It's a really cool knife. I traded my Spyderco smock for it, and I am incredibly happy that I did so. I had the smock for about 6 months and really loved that knife. That was cool. I wish I had done a review on it before I'd sent it out, but this knife is also a button lock flipper, so it seemed kind of like a no-brainer to keep one of those in my collection. But this one is a ton of fun. Protech really nailed the detent on this guy. That, first and foremost, is the thing that everybody notices about it. This action is superb for being a button lock. It's so crisp when you engage that flipper tab. The way it flips out is just buttery. It's fantastic. And the fact that it just drops shut every single time makes it so much fun. The whole thing is very tactile, very clicky, metallic. It's running on aluminum scales, which have been milled. I was really hesitant about these scales. I've seen a lot of people say that you got to get the smooth scales, not the milled ones, because these make a lot of hot spots in the hand and all that kind of stuff. And I will say that when I'm like running my finger over it, it is pretty sharp in a couple of these spots. These mill pass marks are a little bit deep, and they're not super chamfered, especially down here on this edge. But when the knife is in hand, at least in my hands, I wear a men's medium glove, sometimes large. I'm kind of in between. This knife fits my hand really well, and those spots, when they're in the pads of my fingers like that, I don't notice them at all. In fact, I feel like they give me more purchase on the knife, and I really like that about it. The blade finish on this guy is kind of this satin stone washed. It's got a shine to it, but it is roughed up, which is nice because I plan on using this knife quite a bit. I already have since receiving it, and it just hides all of the wear super well. The grind is nice and tall. I will say that it is a bit thick behind the edge, not crazy thick. It does slice pretty well as I've put it through cardboard and stuff like that. But it could be thinner, definitely. It's no paramilitary tube behind the edge. It's definitely got a little bit more thickness going there. If they had hollow ground this instead of flat ground, it would have been a laser. But it did come with a super sharp factory edge on it. The guy I traded from hadn't sharpened it or anything, and it is in fantastic shape. It's in 20 CV blade steel, which is no slouch at all. It's chemically essentially equivalent to M390 or 204P. And I love all those steels. It's done great for me. I've got no complaints in the steel department. Protech doesn't normally use 20 CV, so it's pretty exciting that they did on this one. It appears to me that they did well on the heat treat, and from the few videos of some testing I've seen other people do, that rings true as well. The knife has got an awesome deep carry clip on it. The way that they mount the clip is my favorite part. It's set into the scale where it mounts in, so it's channeled for it to receive the scale, and then the screws that they use beyond that are flush fit. So this clip is super smooth going into the pocket. It holds really well for me. It's done great in any pants I put it on. It's got enough room. It's got a great ramp to get in without being super pokey down here. It's just a well executed clip. Aesthetically, I think the knife looks awesome. These mill marks, you can see even these holes drilled go through on both sides of the scales, and they match up, so I can see you as the camera through this knife right now, which is really cool. They do provide that little bit of extra grip, and I think they just look awesome. Oftentimes I think Ferrum Forge can go a little bit crazy with their mill marks, like some of the other knives they've done through Massdrop or now Drop. I think look like a little bit tribal maybe, or I don't know, they're just not my style. But this one I really like. I think aesthetically it works. I think in terms of function it works, at least for me. It's done great. I really don't like when knives are slippery, when I feel like they're just gonna fly out of my hand if I'm hard using them. So the fact that this one has this texture here to keep it locked in, I have really enjoyed. Again, can't say enough about that action. Definitely the highlight of the knife. If you're looking for a Protech, and like me, you live in a state where autos are illegal, at least to carry. I own plenty of autos, but not supposed to carry them. If you're in California or one of those other states where you don't want to carry an automatic Protech, but you still want a really cool, snappy Protech action with a button, this is an incredible option. I think they're actually coming out with another button lock flipper here in the next little bit as well, so I'm excited to see that one come out. I've seen some teasers of it on Instagram, so we'll see what else they come out with next. But this collaboration between Protech, Ferrum Forge, and Drop is bar none just awesome. It's the coolest Massdrop or drop knife I've ever handled or owned, and I've had quite a few. I think this collaboration is their best work yet, especially being made in the US, being at a relatively inexpensive price point for the materials used, and being made by Protech, which is an awesome, renowned US knife maker, and it's a US design. Ferrum Forge is also here in the US. It's just a really cool kind of collaboration between those three. So even though the name is a little bit confusing because it's the Protech, Ferrum Forge, Massdrop, now Drop, Mordax, those things all came together to bring out one awesome knife. So I'll put it in front of the camera a little bit closer here in a second so you can see it in more detail, and then yeah, hopefully you guys get your fill of the Mordax. All right, here we have the Mordax. This knife is beautiful. It really is. It's seen quite a bit of pocket time, and I've been really impressed that these aluminum scales, they're hard anodized. They haven't shown any wear. They do pick up little bits of lint and dust and stuff because of all those mill marks in there. But in terms of actual application, they've just been super easy to clean, super easy to maintain, and they haven't gotten any snail trails or scuffs or anything like that. The hardware is all this really nice, shiny satin finish, and I think it looks great, matches the clip. You've got the Ferrum Forge logo here. This one you can tell isn't from the original Drop because those said Massdrop. This one is after the name change, says Drop, CPM 20 CV, that's our blade steel there. And on this side, we've got Protech. I have really liked every Protech knife that I've owned. I think I've had about 5 over the course of the last year or two, and they've all been awesome. I struggle to keep them a lot of the time because I get worried about carrying an auto here in California, but when I've got them, the automatic ones, they're super fun to fidget with and play with, and they're just awesome knives. I've been supremely happy with this one, and yeah, can't recommend it enough.